Hi, everyone. Welcome to Radiant Living, Inspiring Humanity to Thrive. I'm your host, Marisa B. Today, I'd like to welcome life and wellness coach, Lisa Turner. Lisa, thank you so much for coming today.
Marissa, thank you for having me. It's really exciting to be here online.
I thank you. I thank you for getting so early because tell everybody where you were located because it's a big
Ye-
time difference.
it is. So yes, I'm down in Brisbane in Australia. So it's a nice early start today at 6 a.m. Still dark outside and it's winter here as well. So it's a little bit cool. So the heat is going.
Oh, wow. And so now the first question I have is how did you get involved with this? Because you do life and wellness coaching, but you also do professional coaching. Yes, right? You're also
Uh,
professional coaching, corporate. Yes, professional coaching as well. You do a little bit of. So can you
yes, a
explain
little
how you
bit
got
of.
started with all of this? Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's a wee bit of a story. So, I guess like anyone, when you're a little person and you sort of have aspirations to grow up, I've always had a little bit of envy around people that kind of knew what they wanted to do and what they wanted to be when they grew up. And about a period of time ago, it was like I had a light bulb moment where I went, all of this life experience can be used to help other people. And it just sort of dawned on me that I actually had something to give, and it really settled well in my heart to want to serve people. So it was I sort of was running around saying to my family, oh, I'm 51, I must have grown up. I know what I want to do. So I got involved because when I reflected back over my own life, I've had quite a lot of I guess traumatic experiences, and I spent a lot of time in myself sort of healing. And I have met in my journey a lot of people, particularly women, that just haven't been able to move through those traumatic experiences, and how it's impacted not only their lives but their families and the people close to them. And it really troubled me, so I wanted to take that experience and share it and encourage and inspire other people through the healing journey. So it came out of a deep desire to share my experiences around domestic violence, and and how I healed through that. And look, it wasn't a pretty story by any means. For me, the real kind of crux, I guess, came when 15 years after surviving that, I experienced workplace bullying, and that nearly broke me. Like that was actually worse than surviving the domestic violence. And I think because it was in my head, like, how did I allow myself to be in this vulnerable situation again? What's wrong with me? And I turned it all internally, which was really, really bad. And I actually had a full-blown breakdown where I took 5 months off work. And it was during that time that I started to heal and reflect. But it was also during that time, about 5 years ago, I went, how many other people are in this situation? What can we do to bring change to the world? So that was really where it birthed from. And then the first period of time, I've always worked in the corporate world. I've been in the industry that I'm currently in for about 36 years. I started just kind of practicing kind of skill sets around coaching within the sales arena. So I do a little bit of work in that space, but I tie it all in together around wellness programs. So, incorporating wellness practices into your daily life means that you're going to, be more present, whether that's with a customer, whether that's with a loved one. If you're, taking priority over your physical well-being, you're just going to, have, be a bit more onto it. And just all the good things that come out of adapting and embracing self-care practices, and how it can actually have that flow through effect. So there's a few different streams, I guess, in what I do, but it
Well,
came
isn't it
from
all
that
about
place
wellness,
of, well,
right?
pardon?
It's all about wellness. Isn't it all about wellness, right? Doesn't it all start from wellness, right? I mean, you hit the nail
Absolutely.
on the head.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not just physical wellness, it's mental wellness, it's spiritual wellness, it's that whole collective.
Yep.
So yeah.
And I was thrilled to have you on because I know that you come from a corporate background and you incorporate that with this life and wellness for your clients because, even though people may be in the corporate world, women in particular, it's not like these things don't happen to them. I know that many people maybe don't understand that. Even, I'm a psychologist, you're a coach, we have our own coaches, our own mentors that we go to, because it's important to have that, I guess, structure with us, right? It's a structure for us to deal with the wellness, because it seeps into everything. You don't just go to a job or you go to a career and don't bring with you the other aspects that are going on in your life.
100%. And I think too, we're kind of taught, whether it's subconsciously or wherever it comes from, that as women we're meant to put up this big facade of being okay, and being this super powerhouse where things don't get to us. And life could be crumbling at home, life could be crumbling at work, and at home we're putting on a brave face. And I think it's about pulling down those barriers and being vulnerable and being authentic in the moment, because we're all human, and we carry on and we carry things. So even in my own personal story with the domestic violence, I was at that stage I was a general manager of an international freight forwarding company. I was, leading the team, and I was hiding all of that stuff that was going on. And meanwhile, I was terrified to go home at night because of what was waiting for me. And I just put on this, and when it all came out, everyone was shocked and surprised. So
Yes.
had I have been vulnerable, maybe someone could have, stepped in and, helped me and helped me be brave enough to end that situation before I nearly lost my life. So I'm really big on empowering people to talk about their situations, because, so many people really sadly, statistically lose their lives in those types of situations. Even the workplace bullying. I've done a lot of research around suicide. So there's people that get subjected to that sort of stuff that not only lose their careers, but sometimes take their lives because of it. So we've got to bring this stuff out into the open, right? We've got to talk about it. We've got to, let people know that there's a way through it, that what happens to us by other people or other factors or other forces doesn't define who we are. And unfortunately, we've just, landed ourselves in a unfortunate situation, but it's not who we are, and there's a way forward. So that's really where my heart is at. It's about taking people on that journey of healing.
Yes. And it's funny that you say that, because yes, I always say most of what happens, it's perpetrated upon an individual from someone else. However, oftentimes, even if we're able to get out of it, I recently had a client that is still carrying with her a date rape from when she was young.
Yeah.
Now, this is a mother, a daughter, a professional woman, but still carrying with her. To talk about these things is important, because you must go on. You have to go on, right? She's living her life every day, but this is something that's sitting inside of her. So this is the need to express it, and the need to get over it, and to understand that it wasn't she who asked for this. It happened to her. It was perpetrated upon her. But it's so important to deal with it. Is, as you said, not dealing with it is, pushing it down doesn't help. And there is, with that, post-traumatic stress that does occur oftentimes.
Yeah. And look, there's situations that really require, deep professional guidance. But for me, I discovered that the real healing came when I started to forgive myself, because I blamed myself, right? I carried that guilt, and I carried the shame. Like, I reflected back and I looked at my own situation, and I thought, how could someone like me, educated, professional, I had a nice home, allow myself to get into that situation? But it wasn't that. So I had to work through that. And, I had so many wonderful counselors that really helped that journey. But I still had to get to a point of forgiving myself.
Yes.
And it was within that the freedom started to come. And look, it was a journey. It didn't happen overnight. And I remember very vividly driving the car, and I remember exactly where I was on the road. I was going over this great big bridge here in Brisbane, actually called the Gateway Bridge. And I was coming up the top of it, and I just started saying, I forgive you. I forgive you. it seems really silly, but by the time I got to the top of that bridge, I was in a well of tears. And when I had first started saying it, I didn't really believe it. But by the time I had gone through it, and that was the build-up of being taught those skills around forgiveness, I could feel it in my entire body. And it was at that moment that the release came, that my mind opened up, that I opened up, I guess, spiritually to say, okay, I'm ready to recover. I'm ready to leave this baggage behind. Let's step into a good life now, because I'd carried that weight around so long. And you just don't realize, you're still being normal. You're still going through those processes of daily living and raising your family and doing the things that you need to do. But yeah, I was kind of hollow and empty and not very happy.
Yes, and I do want to bring up a point that you made, an important point, that yes, people do go to therapists, counselors, psychologists for assistance in certain with certain issues, but you have to move forward. And so the wellness and the life coach that you, and not everybody is for everybody. I do want to preface that,
Yeah.
everybody finds their own person that works best with them, but they help you to move forward, right? It's your next step. So can you speak a little bit to that? Because it is very important. Once we've addressed an issue, and I'm a believer in, we don't need to linger on the issues. It can be discussed, expressed, and now we have to move forward. So can you speak a little bit to that? Like, how do we move forward? How do you in particular assist your clients in moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a really good point. And there's a place for everyone, right? In that sort of sphere of healing. And I was also a bit of a skeptic a while back about these coaches. But personally, too, I've actually worked now with a number of coaches. And different, everyone has their sort of specialty, I guess, like you just said. Not everyone is for everyone, and I actually have about 3 or 4 different people that I work with actively and have absolutely changed my life. So from that perspective, I guess when you're ready to make those changes, sometimes it can set you sort of know something needs to give, something needs to change here, but you just don't know where to get started. So I guess that's what it's all about. You've done the hard work. You've put those traumatic things into their place and their boxes, and you're ready to move forward. But then how do you move forward? And sometimes that overhaul can seem really overwhelming. So it's about coming along and being aligned with someone who's got a bit of a strategy, a bit of a blueprint, I guess, for moving forward. And I just work with my clients sort of where they're at. Like, some people come to me and say, it's about that physical journey. It's about, getting movement again into their lives. So, we work on those kind of physical programs. Other people are like, just, my head's still, I've worked through kind of getting over it, but I just don't know how to move forward. So we just work on mindset stuff. And I try and create a bit of a community where people can come together in a safe place. Facebook's a wonderful thing with all these groups and private, settings and things, just to encourage each other, because I really believe in community and, finding your tribe and, finding a collection of people that are on that same page. So I really encourage that community support. So it really is quite individual. In regards to that work that I'll do. And I do a lot of work with women in sales, particularly sales and customer service environments who are under a lot of external stress and pressure to meet targets. And the industry that I come from is a very male-dominated industry. Yes. So I do a lot of work in that sort of space about, setting boundaries. So
and no one thinks of that. Nobody thinks of that. The job I do, I've been in the healing world for many years. So I'm not in the strict corporate world, and no one really thinks about that, especially women in that corporate environment, that, especially as you said, sales and customer service, you're getting it from all ends. Nobody realizes how much pressure there really is there. That, like you said, you want a community, right? With all this external stuff going on in the world, and then with your job, with your career, you want that community, like you said, the communities where you can jump in and be with like-minded individuals and get that support and that
Yeah.
building up that you need, because everything else comes in so much, as you said, right?
Hard
Especially
and
because you're
fast.
working with these people, right? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the other thing too, when you've come through an environment that might have been traumatic, sometimes you kind of need to leave those people behind, and you don't know how, because maybe all of your life that is the group or the circle of the type of people you've moved in, and you're ready to make that transition away from that. And again, that was my personal story as well. I found it really challenging to go, you know what, I'm stepping into my calling, and I'm going to be doing this stuff. And I had so many people, kind of scoff at me and go, whatever. I have very little friends from my previous life since I've been doing this work, because I'm moving in a different space. I'm moving in space with like-minded people that, want to improve their lives, that want to be better, that don't want to be, drinking or taking the drugs or whatever it is, anymore. And I meet people, particularly again women that are ready to make that transition into, stepping into a better space, but are scared, because it can sometimes be lonely. And that's why having that community of others and finding those connections is so important.
Yes, absolutely. And that leads me to ask you, I know you have private clients that you meet one-on-one. Do you have groups, and do you have groups on any of the social media platforms? I mean, I find them wonderful, because I find that you can, when because someone could be in a remote area, and I find that the internet is fabulous, because they can actually pop
Mhm.
into a community and say, I'm not alone. They might be feeling desperately
Absolutely.
alone, especially right where they are, especially if it's a remote area where they are. They feel like they're the only ones going through that. But then they pop in and they see there are thousands and thousands of people in these groups
Yeah.
that have the same things going on, or maybe the same questions, or maybe the same issues. And I find that being online is wonderful, that we've opened the door to help a lot more people. Do you have groups like that people can
Yes.
actually join in?
Absolutely. I've created a group on Facebook called the 1% Collective. And it's just it's a private group. So you jump on and, have to put your details in to be
Yes.
accepted. The reason it's called the 1% Collective is I believe that when you're getting started, uh, what I ask my clients to do is commit 1% of their day to their well-being, and 1% of your day is only 15 minutes, right? So
Right.
if people say, I can't find 15 minutes to invest in my well-being, then I'm probably not the right person to be working with you. Yes, it's called the 1% Collective, and anyone's welcome to come along and join that group as that community builds. I also offer online programs. So I've just refining a program called Ignite Your Power, and it really is just that. It's about just getting going, so just igniting it. So we it's a 4-week module where we work through mindset shifts, some of the 1% theories, some physical strategies, and then some time management practices as well. And my hope with that is that it just does that. It sort of ignites something. It goes, inspires.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I can take some little gems out of this. I can start my wellness journey, and then we can, deep dive into things further. And I've also, and not that this is going to probably impact many of your followers, but I've actually also launched a community program which kicks off in about 5 weeks, and it's a free program to work with women that anyone really that wants
Mm-hmm.
to access some of this information. But I've aligned myself with a couple of communities in the
Mm-hmm.
recovery of domestic violence. So, women
Well, I will
that are
definitely
feeling a
list
bit
that.
fragile.
Yeah, no, I will
Pardon?
list that, because I mean, the show is all over the world, and the groups that I have out there, I definitely will put it out there, because
Oh,
even if it's something
fantastic.
in person, because often people are across the planet in person, and I will say, if you're in the area and you're interested in it, because you never know who it's going to help. So I definitely
Wonderful.
will do that. And of course, I'll list everything in the description. I always do that. I'll have all your information in the description, because I wholeheartedly believe that we should be interacting with people all over the world, and we should be, finding our groups and our community all over. And I think that's wonderful,
Absolutely.
especially with the domestic violence, that you're offering that to people
Yeah.
in your
Yeah.
area.
Yeah,
That's just
fantastic.
great.
Yeah, so that's really good. Yeah, so that's sort of what I'm working on at the moment. Uh, my vision, I guess, my goals is
Mhm.
to eventually be also offering retreats, 2 or 3 night away retreats. So that's bubbling away in the background.
Mhm.
But interestingly enough, too, though my business has always been focused around helping women, I've actually had a lot of inquiry from men saying, "Are you going to roll out some of these programs for men?" And I guess in time I will. And just to share my little backstory there, I have recovered from moved on from that domestic violence
Mhm.
situation. That was nearly 20 years ago now, and I'm remarried, and I have 3 wonderful sons, and I've recently become a grandmother to a little boy
Oh,
as well. So
congratulations.
my
Oh,
life,
all
thank
boys.
you. My life is very heavily male
Mhm.
dominated, and statistically speaking, having 3 sons, statistically speaking, one in 3 men are victims of also domestic violence,
Mhm.
or child access issues, which in Australia, 1 in 21 men commit suicide. Oh no, sorry, 21 men commit suicide a week due to child access issues, right? It's horrific. And then I
Mhm.
also helped my husband through his own journey with his first marriage breakdown afterwards. When we met, he was really rock bottom. So I see how much damage is done to men, and men really struggle to have a voice because they're
Mhm.
meant to, be big and macho and strong, and things don't affect them. So I am actually really passionate about supporting men's groups as well. I'm not there yet, but I started with where I knew, my own journey could meet other women, but there will be something
Mhm.
at some point in that space, which I'm thinking, not too far down the track, maybe within the next 12 months. So,
Well, that's
I'm here to
wonderful.
support.
Wonderful. You're wonderful. You're offering that
Yeah, yeah.
for
And
men.
I think it's just important. I guess I share that because a lot of comments that I sometimes hear back is, "Oh, you're one of those men haters because of what you've been through."
Mhm.
Well, I'm actually not. Um,
Right.
the men that were my perpetrators are
Mhm.
individuals, and it's not sort of tarnishing. I just
Right.
want to create an environment, having 3 sons, where there's hope in the future, right? For everyone to live better, more
Mhm.
adjusted lives with kindness and love, and that incorporates all of humankind, regardless of, what gender you are. So,
Right.
yeah, I kind of feel like
Right.
I segued a little bit off there, didn't I? Went
No,
down
no,
a
no,
little.
not at all. It's funny that you say that. I'm happy you brought that up because I know often, I mean, now I'm doing the show over 2 years now, and predominantly people that come on help women and women that have suffered trauma, women that have suffered domestic violence, that PTSD. Of course, there are others that help everybody, but predominantly it's for women. But I personally, I've had a lot of male clients. It just happened that way. I mean, I help everyone, including children, but I've had a lot of male clients, and they have a voice, and their voice should be heard, and they have valid reasons for looking for counseling, therapists, coaches, not just in the professional vein, in their
Yeah.
corporate world, but even in their personal life. So I don't think that there's um, anything wrong with saying that on the air. I mean, it's wonderful because we do have to offer it. Like you said, it doesn't matter what gender you are,
Yeah.
person that is looking for growth, right? Because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for
Yeah.
happy, healthy, joyous life and growth,
Yeah.
and evolution. And why not have that offered to them
Yeah.
that we're out there?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And it's about, I feel just not that many years ago that I just thought, why would I want to have children when the world is the way it is? And now I'm, as I just said, I have children and grandchildren. But I do feel like that there's hope in the world. Like the more people I work with in the space, the more professionals I meet that are working in this space, my own personal journey with my own coaches has just given me so much hope and I can't think of the word, energized, that what that future can look like. Because if we're all looking internally, wanting to grow and develop, and you use the word growth, which I think is really important, because we don't stay still. And if we are staying still, if in my 50s I'm still behaving like I was in my 20s, then that's seriously an issue, right? It's all about evolving. And if we're evolving in kindness and love and coming from a place in our heart, which is goodness and kindness, then that not only changes our immediate families and our immediate communities, but it changes our cities, it changes our countries, it ripples out into the world.
Yes.
And I've often been heard saying, if I can just impact one person by sharing my experiences, then I wouldn't necessarily say I'd like to go through near death again, but it validates it, right? It makes it kind of worth it. Like if my story can impact one person, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I'm impacting multiple people, and it's just so rewarding to see that, and that change, that impact on that person will have an impact on someone else, and so it goes, right? And that's
right,
why
exactly, and it ripples.
we do what we do.
Yes, exactly, and it ripples out. And I'm a big believer in the fact that we have to work on ourselves first, and we have to love ourselves first, and then that actually spreads outward, right? And once we love ourselves, we can love others, and then that just grows exponentially, and we really need that on the planet. That's the direction that we must go in.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Well, Lisa, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today, for taking the time, getting up so early to speak with the audience, to just give us a little sampling of everything that you're doing, because I know you're so busy. We actually, and I want to tell the audience, we actually met in a women's group, in a professional women's group. That's how we met originally.
That's true.
And I saw all the, right, and I saw all the wonderful work that Lisa's doing out there. And I said, oh, I must have her on the show. And just to, if we can just discuss a little bit about what's going on. I know we're worlds apart, right? We're so far apart, but yet we're trying to make everybody, closer in love and closer in unity. And so I thank you for coming on and speaking with the audience.
Oh, you are more than welcome, and I really thank you for inviting me along, and giving me this platform to have a voice. And I just want to say, actually, you just made a little point which made me go, oh yeah. It doesn't matter where we are from in the world, right? We're all facing the same or very similar challenges. And I think it's important to remember that in the moment when, you're feeling alone and you're thinking, no one has any idea what I'm going through. No one else has been through this. I can't talk to anyone because no one has any idea. Well, there is. And whether you connect with someone in your neighborhood or someone on the other side of the world, there's people out there to help you. So it's just a matter of putting yourself out there and finding that person or that tribe that can support you. It's so important to remember that you're not alone.
Yes, thank you for that. It's absolutely true. And all you have to, it just takes one quick click on the internet to find a group, and from there you'll find many more. And believe me, your voice will be heard. And I think that that's so important, that everyone realizes that their voice can be heard and should be heard.
Yeah, I agree. Well done. Yeah. So Marisa, thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate
Lisa.
this.
This was wonderful. Thank you. And hopefully we'll speak soon. Take care.
Sounds good.
Bye now.
Thank you. See you later.